Energy is becoming a bigger part of the South African landscape. We know we've got a deficit of supply and we're going to have to be building it over the year. How is Group 5 positioning itself for this growing market?
I think Group 5 has taken a view that we have tried to position ourselves not one single approach. We've looked at the South African market, and in the South African market there's 2 or 3 different sectors that we're focusing on. We've looked at the African market and the Middle East and the Eastern Europe market. And for each of those sectors and areas and geographical spreads, we've taken a different approach. In the South African market, we recognize Eskom as the main power producer for South Africa. And their approach is to go out to inquiries to which we will respond and submit bids in a competitive nature and trust that we will be successful as we are in the Concili's civils at the moment. The other sectors in the South African market really revolve around IPPs and captive power plants. Captive power plants, we find that is really becoming a bit of a preference in the South African market, purely because at the moment no direct IPPs are required. The companies, industrial companies, mining companies are able to use either excess fuel, off gases to produce power, to reduce their reliance on Eskom. And a number of these projects are underway at the moment. On the IPP side, at the moment there are only 2 IPPs really signed with Eskom, one of them being IPSA, the second being with Sasol, Secunda. But I think this is going to pave the way for IPP growth in the South African market and investor confidence into those sort of projects. And they will definitely set the tone for the negotiations going forward. On the refit side, Group 5 has taken an interest, both an equity and an EPC interest, in developing projects. Our main project at the moment is a solar project using CSP solar trough type technology. There we're not only a co-developer, but also we take interest in the EPC construction of that project, and we're at feasibility stage of that project at the moment.
What do you see as the main constraints of really getting this IPP market going in South Africa?
I think it's the maturity and the readiness of the private partner set up by the government to allow us to negotiate and close the IPP contracts and deals. And I think that's taken some time. I think definitely there has been a benchmark set now, so I think we will see movement towards that in the very near future.
What do you need to make a project bankable?
Oh, there's many items to make a project bankable. You know, the banks look at, first of all, the equity participants and the soundness of the project. You obviously need land, you need fuel, you need to make sure that you have an off-taker with a long-term purchase price agreement for the power. You need to make sure that the technology used is sound, the construction price and the capital is sound, and the return on investment. And once you've got all of those sort of ingredients into an IPP, then of course you need to find the right debt and make sure that you can make money. And so there's many aspects to it. It does take time. And I think there's plenty of developers around, but it definitely needs a mix of people that has experience to close these type of projects.
When, from a Group 5 perspective, when do you think, not just from a civil engineering perspective, but also from a concessionaire perspective, this sort of unit is going to gain traction for this business?
I think we've had a very good learning curve over the past 3-4 years that we've developed the power business. We've most probably built about 800 megawatts of power now, mostly gas turbine technology and that. I think the requirements in the South African market are starting to become more real. The African markets are definitely very buoyant now that there's money going back into the industry and into this type of sector. And I would guess that South Africa, as Group 5 in South Africa and cross-border, we definitely see a change in a number of power projects being built, and that over the next period, 2 years, I would say would be a good term.